Hey everybody, welcome. We are live for another masterclass session on this Wednesday. Today we're going to be showing power users how to create these battle backgrounds, which then they can kind of convert into battle maps. I've got a couple examples here so you kind of understand what I mean by like a battle background. It's like a horizontally oriented scene that can be made with a mix between the fantasy regional and the fantasy battle map style. And I got a couple more of these. You can kind of look them over. You can kind of see the kind of things that you can create doing this. And then again, we're going to take these and we're going to convert them over to a battle map. So I'll show you how to put that all together. So I'm looking forward to that. So we have some options about what we might want to make. For instance, and I'll give you guys a choice. So you guys let me know. We can make a bridge that gaps between gaps two land masses with maybe cascading waterfalls in the background. Or B, we can make a vampire sanctum filled with blood and bones. Or we could make like a castle hall with like recesses in the walls and armor leaning up against the walls, tapestries, things like that. So I'll let you guys kind of decide on which one of those three interests you. Again, a bridge, a vampire sanctum, or a castle hall. We'll let you guys decide that. Yeah, I like the Castle Hall as well. Nicaru Games. Glad that you're here with us. First time chatter, by the way. Welcome. Let's go ahead and prep the canvas while people decide what we might want to make. So we'll go ahead and go to create a new map. I'm going to do fantasy battle maps from now, and we want to prep the canvas. So I'm going to edit in 4K so things aren't as blurry. And I'm going to go over to custom because the way that this works is that I want to have only a section of it. A section at the top is going to be the battle background, and then the section below is going to be the battle map itself. So we'll have to make it custom. So your basic battle map at landscape is 40 by 30. So we'll want to make a custom one that's 40 by 40. Or let's see here. I believe, let's see here. Yeah, 40 by 40 should work fine. That means there's going to be 10 cells above where the battle background is going to be, and then the rest of the map below will be the battle map part. So we have a 40 by 40. We're going to create a new map. I'm going to let this load up. Yeah, castle sounds great. Let's do a castle hall. I'm excited about that. Let's do that. Okay. So here's our square, and you're going to want to turn the grid on. And like I said, 10 of those squares is going to be the background itself, the battle background. So first what I'll do is I'm going to go over to shape, and I'm going to choose a fill that's going to be a clipping mask. I'm going to make a square, and I'm going to make the stroke a black color so that way there's a line that divides the battle background and the battle map. Now, of course, if you don't want the battle background on the same battle map, then of course you can always just resize. So you could just resize it and then cut out the battle background. That's up to you. It looks like we're going to do the castle hall. So I'm excited about that tangle whistle. Okay, let's make that black line here. Let's go with this line, and I'm going to turn shadow off as I don't need it. And then I'm also going to turn snap to grid. And then I'm going to count down 10. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right here, that's our 10 mark. That's great. And then let's go across the whole thing like this. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when it comes to making this battle background at the top, some of the stamps you're using might have a shadow, or maybe you want some stamps to be up in the foreground, but you don't want it to overlap onto the battle map part. And so this is going to help you to do that. So I'm going to have this shape all the way at the top, and I'm going to lock it. There's another shape right here. We'll delete that. There we go. So now that I have that shape there, now I can go in and I can paint my background that I want. So we chose a castle hall. So let's first choose a texture that I want to be the ground and a texture that I want to be the wall. And I think a good texture for the ground could be like this asphalt concrete right here, this pavement. Now it's scaled down a little bit, so you'll have to bring it up. And that's in Fantasy Regional, by the way. And I'll bring the scale up, and you can really start to see kind of the stone now. And I'll make the stone a little bit darker. So the stone on the ground will be a little bit darker, and I'll have the wall be just a teeny bit lighter. So I'll go ahead and bring the color down. So I'll bring the brightness down like this. And then I'll turn on my my grid settings, and then what I'll do is I'll create the ground part first. So here's the ground, this nice kind of stone ground, and then I'll pick something, a texture that I want to be the wall, or at least the base texture for the wall. Let's scale out, and I'm also going to turn the grid off as we don't really need it anymore. So there's our ground, and then I'll create a background. And I think what I'll use for that is I'll go back to Fantasy Battlemaps for this, and then I can maybe look at this kind of like this concrete, this gray ground right here. This might work fairly well for a wall, or you could use this concrete right here, this stone wall. This also works. I can go like this if I want. I'm going to make it just a little bit brighter, so I'll go with color, saturation, bring the brightness up just a little bit more. Let's place it now. There we go. Looks a little bit better. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can use a line to create a line between where the wall and the floor meets. So we'll go to the line tool, pen, snap, like this, and just go across. Press enter. And let's go ahead and take a look at it. So there's our line to the ground. And what I will do is I'll make the line to the shape be a little bit thicker as well. So that way you can see the difference between the line that separates the battle background. This is not pre-recorded, but it will be added to YouTube when it's done. So if you missed out on some of it, don't worry, it will be added to YouTube in its entirety, okay? Okay, so then, now that I've done that, so because you could see here is that I did not, I made the lines different because I don't want this line to be the same as this. This is the divider line between the battle background and the battle map itself, so that's important. Then I'm going to take this and just lock it. I don't need to accidentally select the line. So we've got the hall floor and the hall walls. So that's a good step, right? First step, we got that part. Another cool thing that we could do is that all of the stones inside of this concrete floor are all the same size. And I kind of want to break that up a little bit. So I can take that same stone texture. It's already at the max size, but I can bring the size down a little bit. Go over to brush, and then just paint in some spots randomly some smaller stone areas. So that way there's some like variation in the stone size. Here we go, smaller. We can even go smaller than that. Let's go with bringing it down even more. Let me have a little section over here that's really small. And this is kind of break it up. And this is the cool trick that you can do, by the way, with any texture, by the way. So if you have that stone texture from Fantasy Battlemap, and you notice how all the stones are the same size, you can do that same trick. Have some big ones, have some medium-sized one. You just have to varying the sizes of the textures so that way you have this mixed match of cobble, middle-sized stones, and larger stones. It's a nice little trick. I think also we've requested to the artist to make a texture just like that with varying stone sizes. Okay, so we've got the ground here. Let's go ahead and make some recesses that kind of go up against the wall here. And so what I'll make is a series of archways and then some recesses or outcroppings where statues are going to go inside of. What we could start with first is making some pillars. And there's a couple ways that we can go about doing this. I think Fantasy Regional already has some pillars that we can use. That way we don't have to use Fantasy Battlemaps and kind of make our own. These right here will work fine. I think they're kind of the wrong color. They're kind of this yellowish or reddish kind of color, so I'll desaturate them so it has that same gray. I'm going to take this line too and push it all the way down. There we go. I think that looks okay. Let's scale it up a little bit so that this way it's... There we go. I'm going to copy paste. And what I'll do is I'll turn that grid back on so that I can kind of use the grid as a guide on where to place all this stuff. So we'll copy paste. We're making the pillars that kind of hold up the wall a little bit. I'm going to put another one in the center right here. There we go. So now we have some walls and we have the pillars holding up the walls. I'll go ahead and turn that grid off, and I'm going to turn snap to grid off as well, as I don't really need it at this very second. Okay, so there's that. Just want to make sure that they're apart correctly. Let's push this one over a little bit more. There we go. I think that's a little closer. One more this way. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so now you have that. So let's go ahead and continue to add some more stuff. Now, I would think the walls are all made of stone, but it wouldn't hurt to throw in some banners. Maybe even part of the wall might have some other stuff. I'm not sure yet, so we'll try it out here. Okay, let's go over to the shape tool and we're going to make these little alcoves. So first, what I'll do is I'll go over here and I'm going to turn that grid back on to use it as a guide. Whenever I make shapes with the shape tool, I usually turn the grid on so that way I don't accidentally, don't make the shape properly. Let's see here let's go with this size right here. And I'm going to make sure the shapes are merged. And then I'm going to create this little archway right here. It's a little too big. I want to make them just small. I want to make them the right size to where they don't go off the screen a little bit. Like this. It's got a clipping mask, so we can just turn that clipping mask off. And then let's use some stamps instead to create the wall stuff. So let's go ahead and do this. Put that one there. And I'm wondering if we should use... I kind of like this stone right here. I think that looks cool. But there probably shouldn't be this thing at the bottom. So I'll go over here, over to the portals, and I'm just going to remove this part right here. I think right about there looks good. We'll move it a little bit more this way. There we go. Okay. Right here. And we could put 2 to a hallway or 1 in a hallway with an arch, with a banner. It's up to you. Let's take a look here. Let me see how much room that I have. I think 1 statue with 2 banners would be a good idea. Let's do that instead. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll just make 1 for right now, and then I'll copy and paste as I go. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this line, and I'm going to create a portal because the line should recede back. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'll go in here, go back to the portal for lines. Oops, you have to unlock it. There we go. We'll take this portal, remove it. There we go. And then now that that's gone, I can go in with this same texture that I was using right here. And I'm going to go with grid. And I think what I'll do actually is I'll use the shape instead. And I want to create a little recession that kind of goes inward. So about that far deep in should work good. And then in fact, we could have it be, let's actually have it be curved a little bit instead. So I'll go a little bit like this. Oopsie, that's the wrong shape. My bad. Here we go. Go in with a square. Let's go halfway here and then apply. And then I'll do a circle as well. Right. Oopsie, wrong shape. I keep doing that. My bad. Circle. There we go. Okay. Pick the circle up. Put it right here. Apply. There we go. Okay. Now let's turn the grid off so you can see what I mean. So it kind of creates this recession that kind of goes inward. So that'll be helpful. Okay, and then I might want to consider making this texture right here a little bit darker because it's going into a recess. So I can take that same texture that I used right here and just make it a little bit darker. Okay, let's see here. Shape, let's go with a brush. Let me just paint it to see how dark it is. It could be a little bit darker. Bring the brightness down. I think that looks about right. Let's turn the softness off. And I probably will have to redo some of this, but let's turn the softness off. There we go. Okay. And then here we go, like this. There we go. So there's the recess that goes inward. Let's go put some banners on the side. So I think rug or carpet should have it. Let me check it out. Carpet. And we'll go to Fantasy Battlemap. Let's try rug real quick. 1 second. Here we go, right here. I think red's a good color, so we'll use this one. They're a little short, so I'm going to grab the hotbars on them and place it like this. There we go. And then what I'll use is maybe some piece of wood or some kind of something that holds it up. So I think just a piece of wood should be fine. Let's see here. Where is one that has the... Oh, you know what? This fence right here should work just fine. We'll use this. And then I'm going to place it just right here, like right on top of that, like that. Layer none. There we go. And then I'm going to group this, create group, call it banner. And then I'll just copy paste side by side like this. I notice that this is just a little off to the space between them. So what I'll do is I'll just push this inward a little bit. Like this, push that inward, push this inward. There we go. Okay. And then we'll put a statue there. Now, I don't think we can go to Fantasy Regional. We can type in statue. There's a couple in here. Like, there's this one right here. I don't think that works to the style. Maybe a knight would work best. Like right here, there's a knight. This would work just fine. Let's go ahead and place that like right there. So now you have a little knight that fits right in there. Like that. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that section, you get kind of what's happening here. So now I can just go in. I'm going to go ahead and just select all of this stuff and then copy, paste, and I'll put another one on this side. Over here like this. Okay, right about there looks good. Push it over to here, making some changes here. In fact, I might even be able to fit a couple in here. And I don't think we're going to have all the exact same. What we should do is also put a series of doors as well, maybe even some staircase stuff. So maybe just these two sides of the walls. What I don't want to do is have everything be exactly the same. Different sections of the wall should have different things, like maybe a little shrine with like a little place where you sit or kneel and pray to a patron god, or staircases that goes up to the next floor or down to the next floor. We also want to maybe add in maybe some part of the wall that collapsed, or maybe one of the pillars here kind of collapsed and fell down like this, kind of blocking the path right here. So we can kind of put that like that. I think it's always good to throw in something ruined. It's always good to break stuff. So we can kind of put a little broken fallen pillar right here. We might want to also consider making a rug on the ground that goes from one end to the other of the hallway. So let's use a line tool, go to shape. Let's go to Fantasy Battlemaps, and there should be some rugs. There's a red rug right here. It's going to go across like this. There's our red rug. It's a little big, so let's maybe bring the scale down a little bit. Ooh, not that one, my bad. The stamp scale. There we go. Okay, so now we have this nice red rug going across. Okay, now, and what we can do is that maybe we want a section of it to be maybe broken or it fell apart or something. I don't know, we could have that. Let's also make this a little bit darker. It is on the ground. There we go. That way it will kind of stand out from the same carpet or rug that we're using on the wall. There we go. Okay, so we now have a nice rug there. I'm at 93 changes. I'm going to quickly save. I'm going to lock this. Okay, we're going to call this Castle Hall. We can even put like maybe a mirror on the wall with like maybe an enchantress that's stuck inside of there. I mean, there's all these cool things that we can do. So we'll kind of go over it. And if any of you have suggestions, please let me know. I'm willing to do whatever you guys want to do in here. It's always fun to talk to the crowd, talk to the viewership, and ask what they want. Okay, so the pillar has fallen down right there. I think that looks good. I'm going to lock this so I don't accidentally select it. And we should consider some new things, like maybe a doorway of some kind. You could use these same recesses right here and make it act as a door if you wanted to. That's not complex. You could do that. I could place this here, and then I could go in and then go to line, break this here, open this up like that, and then I could take a stair. Let's say this goes up, right? So I could just take a piece of stairs right here. I'm going to take it a layer below. I'm going to rotate it up this way, like this. We're going to bring it down a layer. We're also going to turn the shadows off, transform. Here we go. Oh, let's keep pushing this down more and more layers here. It's at layer -5. Up we go. There we go. What about there? And then I'll also desaturate it. There we go. And then I can fill in that with a black color to make it look like it goes into like a darker area. So I'll go ahead and fill this in. There's our door. And then what I might want to do also is make the stairs a little bit darker, since the stairs go into the recess of the door. So it kind of makes sense to make this a little bit darker. So it looks like it's fading like that. So we got these stairs kind of fading going inward. So now you have a nice little door, and that broke up the symmetry, right? Now we can put a series of frescoes or pictures or whatever we want on the wall. All kinds of fun stuff that we can do there. Okay, let's take a step back. I'm going to go ahead and create some rubble for where the pillar fell over. Kind of makes sense. So let's take a look here. There's some rubble right here. I think this cold rubble ends right here looks good. I'll kind of desaturate it. I'm going to place it just right on top of this pillar like that. We're going to turn the shadow off. We don't need it. And it looks a little dark, so I'll bring the contrast down, bring the brightness up, reconnect it right about there. There you go. And it looks like there's the broken part of the pillar that fell down. It's a good step. Okay. All right, looking good. Just taking a look at everything. Okay, yeah, so far I'm pleased with the way that looks. Let's see here. Let's do some more decorating and add more stuff, like maybe some kind of gold, like filigree or whatever it is that goes like around, or some kind of embellishment on the pillars. So I think in Elven, I think there are these kind of golden, like, let's see here. Where are they? Let's go to Fantasy Battlemaps. Is it in Fae? Let's see here. Nope, not seeing it in Fae. Fairy Home. Nope. It might be then in Elven. Let me just take a look real quick. Here it is right here. This golden vines right here. Red. We've already got red and gold already on these banners right here. So gold should work well already. So I'll just go ahead and place a couple of these on here like this. I'm actually going to saturate them to make them a little bit more brighter. And I'll bring color down, and I'm just going to place these nice and neatly right on the pillars here. There we go. That looks good. And then we'll put another one. Let's flip and rotate. Put this one at the base. Like this. There we go. Cool. We're getting there. Let's put one up top here. Let's put another one right here. And there's none on this one, so let's do that. Let's put one way up here. We haven't done that one yet. And then let's put another one right here, like this. There we go. So now you have this nice gold embellishment on the pillar, and then we should put another one also on here as well. There we go. Okay, so now we have that nice gold. That works good. Okay, let's keep going. What I might want to also do is give the hint of a mix between concrete and stone on my wall. So I'm going to go into texture, and then I'll show you this cool little trick you can do. Let's see here. I believe we need to look for stone. Let me look up stone real quick. Let's see here. Where are you? There it is right there. So we got this stone right here. We're going to probably want to rotate it. So I'll go ahead and rotate at 90 degrees. There we go. And then I'm going to turn my softness on, bring my brightness down. And I'm just going to very easily, very carefully, just kind of place some random stone pieces just like this. Kind of gives this nice sense of stone mixed in. Because right now, the wall all has this same kind of texture to it. And I don't really want that. I kind of want to mix. And so I'll use a little bit of stone for the background, and that will give it a little bit more texturing. Well, give it a little more definition here, maybe some right here as well. Some here. I think that looks good. Here as well. Cool. All right, looking good. And then we do need to fill in this section right here because it is an alcove. Only makes sense. So I'll go in. Let me just zoom in here. Oop, and I'm going to have to do the same thing I did on the other side. I'll have to go in and turn off this, and then bring in the color, just like I did before. Okay, here we go. Make this a little darker right here. Ooh, let's bring it down. Cool, cool. All right, and then a little shape, little alcove that kind of goes in the back here. Put that in the back, coming together. Let's see here. This one right here, the stone, and then we'll use this to create the little arch that recesses inward. Take a step back. Okay. Let's take a look. Yep, that stone looks good. We're 111 changes. I always usually save around 100 changes or so. Yes, our Discord server is incredible. We have a lot of helpful users there who really know what they're doing and love sharing their knowledge. And same thing with me. If you guys want to reach out, ask me a question, you can. Always available, always down. I definitely want to help you improve your map skills. Okay, so once this is done, kind of saving, then we're going to finish up that last part of the wall. I'm going to check on the time here. 3:25. Well, we might go a little over an hour on this one because we're doing two things. We're making a battle map and a battle background, so we'll have to do that. Let's take a step back and look at where we're at. Yep, looks good so far. Some things that we might want to consider doing is having some random stones. You notice that this part of the pillar is broken, but I don't see little pieces on the ground or anything like that. So it kind of makes sense to have maybe some smaller fragments. Oopsie, rubble. I did a ruble. Okay, rubble. Let's go with, let's see here. I think this right here should work good. I'm going to turn this off, desaturate. And I'm going to place a couple up against the wall too, like right here. One maybe on the carpet. Don't forget to change the size. So big ones, medium ones, small ones, maybe a pile of little ones, some over here, here. This will kind of give it that sense of ruin. And then what we can also do is we can take a cracked texture and then maybe put like some cracks that are on the wall a little bit, and maybe on the ground where the pillar kind of fractured and fell down. So we'll bring the scale down and then kind of just create some cracked ground right here. There we go. So it looks like it fell down and broke. I think that looks good. Great. Okay. Now we have to decide what we want to put on this middle part of the wall. And I had a couple ideas. One of them could be like a series of pictures. Some of them could be like a series of mirrors. You could have maybe some kind of piece of furniture, like a bookshelf or something on the wall. I think a bookshelf might not be, oh, stained glass. That's a good idea. Let's do both. Let's do a stained glass and then maybe a bookshelf as well. Now, there are no bookshelves in Fantasy Regional. I'll show you how to make your own. It's not complex. Just type in book, and then you'll have these shelves right here. Now, the perspective on this is going to be a little off. So if you're okay with that, that's cool. If you're not, then because I'm not going to individually make all of these books, that's going to take a lot of time to do that, and we're running out of time. But you can do that. So just bear with me on the perspective issue that's here, because we are like a layer or two off here. So I'll stack these two, and then we're going to create the face for the top of the shelf. And we could just use a simple table for that. Like this table right here could work just fine for that. We can place it here like this, and then just put it right on top. And then you would have your kind of a tabletop, or not a tabletop, but where your bookshelf might be. So I'll bring the brightness down just a little bit, bring the brightness up on that because it's on top, and then place it just like this. And I'll place it right there. I'm going to create a group and call it bookshelf. And I think we should put some things on the bookshelf as well, like maybe some books, candles, stuff like that. Those are those flat ones. I can show you a trick on how to make a book with the face, though. You can take that part of the book right here, and then take, let's see, that's a green one, my mistake. Let's find a blue one. And if you can't find a blue one, you can always just change it to blue. So I can go to hue. Let's find that blue right about there. Bring the brightness down. Desaturates a little bit, and then custom turn off. And then what you'll have here is you'll have the book. We'll desaturate it just a little bit more. It's still a little too much. And then what you have here is you can create the book that has the two faces. Create group. And so you have two faces of the book like that. Kind of a neat little trick. Same thing you can do if it was the other way around as well. Let's go ahead and throw on some more items. Don't need. Let's put an open book on the shelf, maybe leaning up against the wall. And then we can also put some knickknacks and some things on there. Maybe some keys to get into a place. Put that there, and then let's see here. And then maybe we can put like a staff of some kind leaning up against it as well. So like a staff just right up against here like this. We'll push it back so it looks like it's on the back side of it, and then bring the brightness down. And then we're going to make a stained glass window. Wouldn't hurt to also maybe put some pages on the ground. I like to add a little bit of details. So let's put down page or paper. Well, I butchered that. Okay, so we got some paper here. Let's put a couple on the shelf. Oopsie, needs to go up a layer. There we go. Oop, and also, I think I'm going to bring the brightness down on it just a little bit. And it's a little too centered. I'll bring it over there. And then we'll also put some pages on the ground as well. It's always nice to have in some details like that. Always looks nice. There we go. Okay, so now you have a bookshelf right there, and you have some details there, and then we'll make a stained glass window just right here. And we can kind of use this same thing right here to make that stained glass window. And we'll go ahead and do some editing. I'm going to remove the portal. There we go. And then I still have this, and I can create maybe 2 stained glass windows side by side like this. That could be interesting. Now let's choose fill, and then we'll go choose a texture. And then inside, I think there's some fey textures that would work just fine for this, like this one right here. And just bring the scale down. And then you kind of have these stained glass windows. Let's go right about there. Okay, so you can put those on there. Copy, paste. And if you want to have a face to make it look like it's kind of popping out, you can go like this, put it up like this, and then take, we'll take this part right here and make a darker texture or darker color. And then there's a top face to that window. Now I can just create group, create, and then I can take a series of these and just put them right on the wall right here, like that. And then of course, if I want, I can also change it. If I don't like red, because there's a lot of reds, I can change it to any color that I want. So I can go in here and change the hue to whatever I think works best. And honestly, I think blue might not be a bad idea, just so that we have kind of a different color scheme. There's already a lot of reds. So to break up all those reds, I'm just going to use blue. That way there is some different color, because I don't like it all being the same color. And then of course it's a window, right? So I would expect some light. So let's type in light. And let's use this orangish one, so that way I can kind of change it to a bluish color if I need to, because it is blue glass. So I can go in and change it to a blue color, bring the opacity down, and then I can kind of place them on top of it first. That's a good place to start there. Copy, paste. And then here's a cool little trick. We can create a reflection of the window on the ground. So we'll turn off the line, and then we're going to change this blend mode. So we'll go through the blend modes to find the right color we're looking for. I think that looks about right, and we'll bring the opacity way down, or right about there, I think. And then we'll go ahead and just copy, paste, put that one down as well. We need to push it down. There we go. And then you kind of have this reflection, and then you can also show by putting some maybe rays of light that kind of go down and then kind of connect to it. Let's go ahead and change this to transform, and we'll change the width. There we go. Okay, there we go. And then you kind of have this light kind of going into the window there. You can also change that, make it a little bit blurrier if you want as well. So it kind of, it's not there. You can bring it a little bit more, get a little more blur there. There we go. Okay. So you can always add in lighting this way. Let's go ahead and save it. Yes, we need a stained glass texture. I totally agree with that. All right, cool. We're going to let this save. And then we're going to, I think we'll add in some, just some very, very, very last little details to the wall. And then we're going to call it good, because we're 34 after and we have to make the battle map now. So let's go ahead and add in some final details. You notice here that this part of the wall doesn't really seem to have a lot of stuff on it. So maybe we want to consider putting something right there. I think maybe I think a picture would be a good idea. So we'll use a shape. We're going to use a stroke. We're going to use wood, right? Because a frame for a frame is generally made out of wood, and we'll use like kind of a decorative texture, or I'm sorry, a decorative wood. Let's bring the scale up a little bit. There we go. Now you'll notice that there is these kind of like strange little, how the corners don't look right. I can show you a cool trick on how to fix that corner problem. If you go over to caps, go to nodes, and then what you'll notice is that it will add caps to those edges, and then it will remove that. And then it looks like a more of a proper frame, right? Then we'll choose a fill, and then we're going to choose maybe like a parchment-like texture, parchment world, to create like this, maybe this kind of texture. Let's try this one. I think that looks good. And then what I'll do is I'll tilt it just a little bit to make it look like it's been moved. It's like, for instance, maybe I want to indicate to the players there's something behind that picture. And so it's been tilted a little bit. And so that way it kind of lets them know like, hey, there it is. So nice little trick there. And then we can go into Fantasy World, and then we can kind of choose something that we want to be a picture. It could be a boat. It could be some heraldry. It could be whatever it is you want it to be, a tower. It could be the castle itself, like a picture of the castle, a scene. It could be whatever you want. So kind of cool thing. Let's try a castle real quick to see. I think, let's see here. Let's try this one right here. And I did rotate it a little bit, so I'll go like this. And then one thing to make the picture look like it's a watermark, or that it's like hand-drawn, is I'll go to luminosity so that it will pick up the same color behind it. And then I can also look up a sun, and then maybe put a sun in the background as well, and then change that blend mode to luminosity. And then we have this kind of, oh, you know what? I'm going to bring the contrast up a little bit because it's kind of harder to see. There we go. Make sure that line work is thick enough to where you can see it. We'll rotate that sun and then kind of put it over there like that. So now you have this nice picture as well involved in there. You've got your stuff. There's some stuff that could probably be on the ground. We could probably put some stuff. Like I think we could maybe put some scrolls. Maybe you wanted to have, there was a battle that took place or something. We can do with that. Hey, Alex Fox 105. Welcome. Glad that you're here. Yeah, it's a great program. Really glad that you're here with us, by the way. Let's go ahead and take some of these scrolls. Right now, there's not a lot going on the ground. So I really want to put some stuff on the ground to kind of get that last bit, because I have just this straight kind of red rug right here, and I feel like it should need more stuff. Okay, let's go and put another one over there. And then, you know, what we could do is add a wall sconce so we could put some light sources. Let's take a torch. And it could be just like sticking right out of the wall. If you don't like that it's just sticking out of the wall, you could always put something behind it, like a pillar or something to be holding it up. So there are some stuff that you could use for that. Like you could use this right here. If you wanted to, you could use that. Just desaturate it, remove it, and then put that. And then just go ahead and put this right on top of that. And then there's your torch. Create group. Create. And we can put the light sources right next to the wall, or next to the door, as you would kind of expect. Let's also put one maybe right next to the books. You would expect some kind of light source to go there. That makes sense. And then I'm going to add in just a couple more details. Let's make a stool. I'll show you. This is a cool technique that I use for making like top-down, what's called top-down oblique perspective, where it shows you these two faces. This is kind of what we're already doing, this top-down oblique. So I'll show you how to make a kind of a quick little stool, a kind of a isometric stool. So I can take one stool. This is going to be the top of the seat, like this. Copy, paste. Oopsie. Copy, paste. Push it down a layer. Make this one darker. That's going to be the face of the stool. And then we're going to take a pole and we're going to make the legs or the pegs of the stool. We'll push this down another layer like this. And then I'm going to also turn off the shadow, bring the brightness down, make it so it's about the same darkness. Push it this way, and then one more right here. And then you have a nice stool. Create group, create. Oopsie, this one's a little off. My mistake. There we go, like that. Oop, this needs to be centered. There you go. Okay. So now you have this nice stool, which you would expect because you want to be able to sit down and read, right? And let's put something on the stool as well. That might make it look more interesting. We could put a book. We could put whatever you want on top of the stool. Let's go to the wizard real quick. And let's see what we have. Oops, not in there. Let's go to Fantasy Battlemap. Go to wizard. There'll be some stuff. Let's see here. Let's put a quill on top of that. I think that'd be a good idea. There we go. You got a little quill right there. Okay, cool. All right. Sweet. I think we're going to call that good for now. There's all this other stuff that we could put on the ground. But I think you guys are getting the general idea on how it kind of works. We'll add one last thing, and that's just to add those light sources, because I want to add a little bit of light effects. And so we'll put the light sources. I've shown people do this in the past. I use 2 light sources, an orange one at the center for that nice orange glow. And then I'll use a yellow one, a much bigger one at a lower opacity. Excuse me. This core one right here, bring up the size, bring the opacity down, bring it up a layer, and then have a light right there. And then we'll add in an extra large light, just goes right on top right there like that. Now you have your light sources. Make sure that you have your light sources. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create group. We're going to call this battle background. Create, there we go. Oopsie. I realized I did something wrong here. There's some stuff that I left locked. I'm going to lock that, and then I can select it all again. Create group, battle background. It happens. Happy little mistakes, right? There we go. Okay, now that that is done, I can push this one, layer -5. Oop, and it looks like I missed, I got the shape here. Okay. Let's go ahead and quickly save it. All right, after the save, we're going to start making the battle map part. Now, I think there's obviously a lot more that could be added to this castle, and I mean a lot more, but we are short on time. And I'll make this clonable, by the way, if people want to clone this and add further details and stuff to it. Honestly, I think there's we could put another hour into this hallway because it's still not at a 100%, but I think right now it's well enough to use as our example for a hallway that we want to create. Okay, so now that that part's done, we can start making the hallway part with the battle map stuff. And so what I'll do is we'll pick a texture that we want to have as the ground. I'm going to use this stone wall right here. I think that works already well. Go to FG. So this, remember what I did? I put everything on the FG layer. I made that with the FG layer. So I'll also take this shape right here. I'm going to take it down all the way to layer -4. So it's still on top of this battle background. They're already available. They're on my profile. I think also if you just go to the explore page and just type in the search field, battle background, I've labeled every single one of the ones that I have battle background in the title. So when you type that in, they should all pop up. And I'll probably be making a couple more in the future because there's so many that you could make. So definitely go check that out on the explore page if you're looking for those original ones. Mati is my name. Okay. Hey, no problem, Endurlian. Endurlian. Okay. All right. Hey, no problem, Nakaru. All right. So let's go ahead now and create that part. So we have this rug right here that goes across. Let's first create the walls, right? So we'll go ahead and pick a stamp that we want to act as the wall. Go across here. Here's the wall. I'm going to make it nice and big too as well. Make it nice and big. So now we have a wall here. Right there should be good. And then we'll add in another wall on this side right here. There you go. So here's our hallway, our 2 walls that go across. We're going to want to also add in some shadows to create this sense of depth. And so what I'll do is I'll go into here. I'm going to go into shadows. And I'm going to make the blur fairly large, bring the intensity up, and then what I'll do is I'm going to use object shadows to make these pop out. So I'm going to move it over to the side here so I can kind of see it. Go over to here, and I'm going to change it like this. So there's one shadow right here. Let's bring the intensity down. Okay, one shadow. And then we'll do this next shadow right here. Oops, I got to make sure that this one's selected. Here we go. Grab the shadow, bring it up. There we go. Bring the intensity down. Oopsie, we got to fix that. There we go. What about there? Okay, bring the intensity down. There we go. Okay, so now we have some walls. Yeah, that's good. And also, I think we'll bring the texture size up and we'll bring the brightness down so that the walls pop out more. The walls, one thing you want to show depth is to use contrast. So if the floor is darker, make the walls lighter. And that way you're going to use contrast. Contrast is light. It's light against the darkest dark. Contrast is how you create depth, and it doesn't matter what map what map style you're using or what kind of map you make. Contrast is the trick. You notice that dark shadow made that wall pop out. There's your contrast. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take that same texture. I'm going to bring the scale up. I'm going to bring the brightness down. Let's take a look at how dark it is. Yeah, looks good. So now it's nice and dark, and you see how much those walls popped out now that I made the ground a little bit darker and the walls are a little bit lighter. So you kind of see how that works. Now I can change up the scale, and then I can create sections where there's bigger stone and smaller stone. Bigger stone, smaller stone. There you got some mixes there, and then we can even make it a little bit smaller, create some really tiny stone sections. Here, some small stone. Here. So now you kind of have this nice mix of different types of stone sizes. There we go. That looks good. Now that we've gotten the walls, let's go ahead and lock the walls for now so I don't accidentally select them. And let's go look up pillar. Whenever I'm making these, I always start with the walls and then pillars and stuff like that. And then once I've kind of created the enclosure, that's the walls and the pillars and the windows and all that stuff, then I go in and I fill in the interior part. I'll start adding in the rug and all those other details. So that's where you start. So we've got that now. Let's go ahead. Just one moment here. I'm going to take a step back and look at it for a second. All right, looks good. Pillars. I think the pillars we've used are kind of these circular ones, so it kind of makes sense to add those. I'll desaturate them so they're the same color. I'll bring the brightness down. Let's bring the size up, and then I'll add some kind of shadow to it so it'll pop out. So custom object shadow. Oopsie, and I can't see it, so I'll have to move it to the side here. Shadow blur, intensity, there we go. Okay. And then I'm going to push this down a layer so that it's within the shadow of these stone walls. So let's take the stone walls up. In fact, we can bring them all the way up to layer +5 since they're walls. Nothing is higher up than the walls. And then I'll put the pillar just right up against here. So copy, paste. And they don't have to be perfectly lined up, but you can if you want. I'll just line them up so that way it's just easier. Okay, so you got some pillars here. Looks good, some pillars. And then we need to make that broken one. And in fact, we can just kind of use the pillar that's already there. That works just fine. We can just copy and paste it because it's a fallen pillar. Or you can just use, there should be a fallen pillar in here as well. Let's see here. These ones right here. Yep, these will work just fine as well if you prefer to use that. So I can just kind of place one right here like this. And then take the broken part and then put that on the ground. Make sure it's scaled up to about the right size. There we go. I'm going to push it down a layer so it's below. There we go. Okay, and I got this pillar that goes across, and I'm going to desaturate these so they're the same color. And then let's change the brightness just a little bit. There we go. So now you have that broken pillar that goes across. There you go, like that. And then let's go ahead and make that rug. Let's see here. Let's go into battle background, and we'll just grab the rug itself. Copy, paste, bring it right into here. There we go. Bring it up a layer, and then I should be able to change the stroke scale so it's a little bit bigger. There we go, a little bit bigger. Let's bring the scale down just a little bit. There we go. And then let's go like this across. There we go. Let's bring the brightness down. Okay, now this hallway is a little bit wider than the battle background. You'll notice that the pillar here goes all the way across the rug, and it doesn't here. That's okay. That's all right. It's just that I just wanted to use it as a reference. So if you felt like that was an issue, you could always throw another section of the pillar and put it across like this to make it look like it fell. So if you want to show that's a really tall hallway, that's up to you. You could do that. Also, these are something that your players could interact with. I really like a battle map in which your players can interact with the environment. They can hide behind the pillar to dodge attacks. They could use magic to lift it up and hurl it at enemies. You can jump on top of it to get height advantage, lunge down and attack. It's always good to use, have some kind of elements on the map that your players can interact with. A flat battle map where there's not much to interact with makes combat not quite as intriguing. I'm not sure there's such a thing as completely boring combat, but combat can get repetitive. And so breaking it up by adding in things that your players can interact with is very, very helpful. I'll go ahead and, just for the continuity of sticking with the same design of the battle background, I'll go ahead and be sure to put both these broken pillars here, and then maybe put a little bit of collapsed rubble in between the two as well, which kind of makes sense. So I'll go in here. There's some rubble. Desaturate. I think it's a little bright, so I'll bring the brightness down and just put a little bit around here like this. So it looks like the pieces, and then always big, small, medium, break up those sizes, and let's put a couple over here as well. Okay, there we go. Looks good. Okay, let's take a step back and look at it. All right, so we got this nice pillar here. Let's create that doorway. And let's take, and then we want to make those alcoves as well. I don't think you're going to be able to see the alcoves because of the top down, and that's what's really nice about making these battle backgrounds first, is that you would never know that there are these alcoves with statues because they recede into the wall. You'd never know they existed without this battle background. So kind of nice that we added that in there, because you will not be able to show that in here unless you want to have them, one of them collapsed or something. Okay, so we got that. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and add in the bookshelf. Let's throw in the light sources. Let's also throw in all the elements with the bookshelf that we had there. So I'll go ahead and take this same bookshelf right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and select the top part of the bookshelf. I'll place it right here, just like this. Okay, and that's going to be the top of the bookshelf. And then I'll go ahead and take items from the top of the bookshelf and make sure to place them on it as well. There we go, like this. And then I did kind of have this up against the wall more, so we'll put it like that. So now we got some items right there. Let's move it inward a little bit more. And then we'll put this paper over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to rotate the book just the hair just to kind of break it up. There we go. Okay. So now we've got our bookshelf. That works out great. Since the staircase recedes inward here, it's kind of hard to tell that there's a door here. So what I'll do is I'll just have some of the staircase kind of popping out a little bit. So that way your players are aware that there's a stair kind of going inward. So I'll place a little staircase there. I know that technically the stair is recessed inward, but I do need to let the players know that there's a way to get in, and I don't want to put a portal there because then there's going to be a break in this wall that seems to be separating the battle background from the background. So there's a dilemma there, and you just have to make, you know, a little sacrifice or make a little adjustment. So if I just put a little staircase just right here, that will kind of show that that's a door that kind of goes in and out, okay? Kind of a good thing to do there. One thing I'm also going to do is just change up the size of these. These are a little too big. I'll select all the pillars. Actually, just type in pillar. I'll show you guys a cool trick. If I just type in pillar over here, it'll take every single one of these pillars, and I can scale them down a little bit because they're a little big. There we go. Okay. I noticed that they were massive, and I didn't want them to be that big. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and take those. Let's go ahead and lock this, and then let's go ahead and add in those light sources, and then we'll do some lighting techniques that I do. I'll show you that as well. Let's see here. Let's go back into this battle background right here. And I'm going to grab these lights right here. Copy, paste. Place them right here. There we go. And I'm going to bring the scale up on them a little bit. Just place them like right here like that. And then this one can go up. I don't mind if it reflects on top of the pillar. That's fine. Or if you don't like it, you can put it underneath. It's up to you. That there. In fact, I think I will put this one under the pillar. That's fine. There we go. And then let's also grab a light source. Let's grab a blue light source. Oop, not that one. This one. Just so there's a little bit of extra blue lighting right here. There we go. And then we're also going to type in light. And then wherever those wall torches are. Let's see here. Oh, there's a wall sconce right here. There's a bulb here. Let's go with this one right here. I think this should work just fine. Yep, absolutely. We could totally make adjustments to that. That would be pretty easy stuff. You could go on top like this. Great idea, by the way. You could just go into nodes right here. And then what you would do is you would just add more nodes to it. Kind of tweak it this way, tweak it this way, tweak it this way a little bit. Let's go here, here. Let's see here. Right about there, I think. We'll just tweak it just a little bit. There we go. Make it look like it's kind of like going onto the pillar there. Okay. Not the best, but you get the general idea on how to do it at least. Okay, let's go ahead and lock that shape again so I don't accidentally select it. Okay, let's go ahead and add those wall sconces. There we go. There it is. Wall sconces. We had two by the door. So one right here, one right here. And then I think there was one also right above the bookshelf, so one right there. And then we'll just go ahead and add another light source and put it on layer +5, so it's above it all. One right there, one right here, and then we'll go ahead and take a kind of this one right here and just place it like right on top. So there's some lighting there, and then some lighting like that. There we go. So now you have some lighting on your wall there. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Yes, I could probably spend about 40 minutes trying to change that that stained glass window to fit on top of that pillar. So maybe I should do some more research on it, and then we can do like a masterclass on how to like use the shape tool in that way, because that would be super cool. Because technically, I would be pretty anal about that. I'd be like, no, it must be perfect, or there is death. There is death. Okay, let's go ahead and add in the stool. Let's go ahead and add in the final details, and then we're going to call it good because we're at 58. So there's some paper, some stools. I'll put the paper on the floor there just so that it's there. And then the stool again. Okay, put the stool right here. Like that. And then one thing I notice is that there's no shadow for the bookshelf. So it kind of looks like it's just flat. So I'll go ahead and put a rich, thick shadow to make it look like this is popping out more. There you go. See how that shadow made that pop out more? And I'll do the same thing to this one. I want this to look like it's popped out a little bit more. So add a little bit of shadow. I'm going to bring the brightness down. And then we'll go ahead and take these pieces of paper and we'll just kind of place them on the ground. Now I do know that the rug is far away, so there is some inconsistency here, but that's just because the battle background is a little bit different. And then let's put maybe one underneath here, so it's kind of reflecting on the paper a little bit. That could be kind of interesting. There we go. I like that. Okay, put another one right here in this corner right here, like this. One over here. There we go. So now you got some good pieces of paper, and let's also float some onto the rug here as well. There we go. So you got some paper going onto the rug. We're at 29 changes. Let's go ahead and lock this so I don't accidentally select it. Okay, let's go ahead and add that cracked ground. Let's see here. Cracked ground right here. That makes sense. And we'll put it right here. Wherever the pillar has kind of fallen apart. Makes sense. And we'll put some more cracked ground right here where the pillar has fallen. Works good. Looking good. And then I might want to have, let's say there's some overhanging chandeliers or something that you have. And you can't see the chandeliers, right? Because it's a fantasy battle map. So you can't really see that. You can just take a light source and wherever wherever the chandelier is, just put a light right there. So I can put two lights like this on top. And what these represent are just the chandelier light reflecting down from the ceiling. So you don't have to make the chandelier, you just put the light source. It's the same thing for any battle map. You wanted to have like an overhead light that you turn on with a light switch on your modern battle map, then you would just put a light source wherever that light would be. Or if it's a candle hanging above, wherever that light is. So that's kind of an easy way to signify that, hey, there are chandeliers in here. Even though you can't see them, you can see the light that they are producing. This is kind of a way of, you know, insinuating something without having to make the whole thing, because you wouldn't be able to see the battle map if there was a chandelier there, right? It would be covering all the walking and battle space that your players are going to be going on. Okay, so now we have those light sources on there. That works out great. Let's go ahead and do some dynamic kind of lighting a little bit. And I think I'll use the top layer for this. So we'll go top layer, color black. I'm just going to do some real quick dynamic lighting. And so what I generally do is I'll take like a line like this to kind of help me to make like these little guides. So if the light source is right here, it's kind of going like this, emanating that way. So now I have this kind of little guide here that I can kind of use. And then I can go in and just kind of paint in these shadows. And don't forget to put them on top of the pillar itself as well, because one side of the pillar is going to be dark, the other is going to have light on it, right? So I see there's a light right here and there's light right here. So it wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of shadow like right here. Put a little bit on these edges here like that, okay? You're starting to get the general idea on how the shadow works. Now, you don't have to add the guidelines. Sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't. It's really up to you on how you want to go about doing it. So we've got a light source right here. I'll zoom in so you can kind of see it. So there's a light source right here. So we can make a little pillar of light that goes like right here like this. Same thing here. Well, there's a light source here, so that kind of negates that. Some light source here, so we'll go put some behind here, right here. There's a light here, so we'll have it going this way a little bit, away from this one. Little light pillar here. Okay, let's take a step back and just kind of look at it and see how it looks so far. Yep, I think overall that looks okay. Okay, let's quickly save and we'll add some final changes, and then we're going to call it good. I will say that I was looking forward to kind of making a vampire sanctum with all the blood and stuff, but I was overruled. And I don't mind. So I'm always kind of curious what our users kind of want me to make. Oh, I intend to make one, all right. I just wanted to make one for the stream. No, there is no oops whatsoever. There is no oops. There is no oops. Okay, I think what we should do is add in some details to this that we haven't added into the up here. And we can, whenever I add new things to the battle map, I'll go back and then add them to this. But what I think would make this more interesting is to kind of add in some blood, corpse, a scene, like a battle took place or something like that. So I think that would just make this just a little bit more interesting, adding in that. So like maybe someone broke into the castle and they're trying to, and maybe someone maybe like a part of the wall blew open and then someone came in that way or whatever. And I think that would be kind of a nice little touch to it. So I'll throw a corpse up against the wall here. I'll bring the brightness down a little bit. So your players, when they first enter, will see this injured guard. They're probably going to walk up to the guard, check to see if they're dead. If they're dead, then of course they're going to loot their body. What else would your players do with a corpse, right? Don't answer that question. They would loot the body of any of its stuff in your typical player fashion. Or if they're alive, then if they should decide to leave them alive, who knows with your players, right? My players are really random. They could do anything, right? And then we'll put some blood on the ground as well. Your players maybe say, hey, the person who stabbed me or attacked me went up those stairs, up to that stairwell. So, or maybe they're hiding somewhere in the shadow somewhere, like a shadow assassin, and maybe they come out of the shadows and attack your players. So they kind of get them out of the way. All kinds of cool stuff, right? So we'll type in blood, and I'm not going to use this blood right here. I'm going to use, which is fine for pooled blood, but it's not great for blood that's seen like action, like blood scraped on the floor, blood splatter. This kind of stamp doesn't work for that, at least in my opinion. But there is a really nice blood one in watercolor battle maps. So if we type and open that up, you'll see that you have this blood right here. And so you've got this nice blood. And what I'll do is I'll put it underneath to kind of show like the blood has kind of like seeped down right here like that. And then we can also put some more, maybe some splatter where they were hit. So some splatter right here. And then we could also put a little bit of splatter on the ground here. And then let's go ahead and put like some splatter, some blood here. Let's put one over on maybe on this pillar and right here. And then maybe one right by the door. Maybe someone got attacked right by the door. Yes, I want isometric too. I can't disagree with you there. Oh, we got some blood on the ground there. Let's also put down some weapons. Like, I think it's not a bad idea to throw down some weapons on the ground. Because if you want to show that it was a battle, right? Maybe put some weapons. So we can put like, let's put like maybe this was his weapon right here, this mace. So we'll put it right on the ground right next to him. And then maybe we'll have another weapon maybe leaning up against the pillar like this, just like where they're, well, let's see here. Where should I put this axe? Over here somewhere. There's a lot of negative space here. There we go. Let's go ahead and bring the brightness down on these. Are a little dark. There we go. A little bright. So I'll bring that down. There we go. I'm going to delete some of these. There we go. Looks good. Here. Okay. And I think I'll select all of them and just bring the brightness down just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to arrange these to where they kind of fit better. Okay, let's move these over to here. Okay, I think that looks a little better. Yeah, that looks okay. Push this one over to here. A little bit smaller. Okay. All right. And then let's also add, let's take these same sconces and then make sure that we put some on this side of the wall and then put some pillars there as well. So because the other wall doesn't have the pillars yet. So we should do that, copy, paste, and then we'll place them just right here like this. So you have your other pillars there. There we go, turn off that light source, we don't need that. And then I should put that other pillar right here like this. You want to make sure that it's lined up with this. Cool little trick here, you can select the two, and then go to the hamburger menu, align, distribute, and then just go center horizontally, and then they will center with that option. Same thing here. I can take these two, go to align, distribute, center horizontally, and they'll center horizontally. Let me show you again. Let me move this off to the side and move this one. And you'll notice how they're offset from each other. Great, that's no problem. Center horizontally, and now they're centered horizontally. Nice little trick to use when you're trying to align things. And I think the Musical Rogue has a great video on this as well on their channel. It kind of covers how that alignment tool works. Definitely go check that out. Great channel, great videos. Go check that out. If you want to add the link to that Rogue in the chat, feel free to do that. Definitely go check out that channel. Okay, let's go ahead and do that last bit of stuff in here. We're going to add in these light sources. There we go. We'll copy and paste. Awesome. Go check out that link, folks. Go check out that link. Good stuff. So we'll go ahead and put just a couple light sources here as well. Like this. There we go. That way it's not all on one side. So you kind of have that. Oopsie. Let's go ahead and put these. Let's put this one over on this side. So it kind of parallel to this one right here like that. There we go. So we got some light sources right here. Let's go ahead and save it. And I think the last bit is just to throw on some filters, because we're at 10 after now, so we'll probably call it good. And then I'm looking forward to, we can totally do another master class if this is something that, if this is a style that people like. We don't even have to do the battle map part. We could just do nothing but these battle backgrounds, and then we can make like 5 or 6 of them in a sitting or something like that, or maybe like 2 or 3 in a sitting. So that way you can get more of that, because I know most of you probably already know how to make battle maps. It's just that these side view horizontal battle backgrounds, these are not quite as popular. I don't see a lot of these. Okay. Oh, there is, by the way, Tang Whistle. I have seen maps like these. With these battle backgrounds, I find them to be more dominant in like mobile games. But I have seen artists make a battle background and then make a corresponding topographic battle map that goes along with it. And that's kind of where I was inspired. So I didn't come up with the idea on my own. I don't want to steal credit where it's not due. But for sure, I've seen other people do it, and I really wanted to mimic that in the tool, because that's just what I do. I always like to find the most bizarre stuff and then try to replicate it in the tool. Okay, let's go ahead and add in those filters. So I'm going to add a new filter. One of the first things you can put down is clarity, because clarity is going to really make the color pop out. Notice that when I turn it off, it has this more dulled color, and then when I turn it on, it has this really more popped out reddish color. So that's helpful. The next step, what I like to do is, right now there's not a lot of artifacts. The map is really clean. And so I'll let filters to do work for me. So if I go over to Fantasy World, there's this leather. You could use this leather texture if you wanted to add a little bit more artifacts to the map, or you could use old paper. That one also works. Just switch to repeat and then change the size, and you'll see that there are some artifacts that are on top of the map. Now see what happens when I turn it off? Those artifacts go away. When I turn them on, the artifacts turn on. So this is kind of helpful to kind of breaking it up, because it's just, again, it looks so clean as it is. I feel like if there's been a battle, there should be like dirt. It should be scuffled up a little bit. There should be some grime on the wall and the rug, right? And so using old leather or old paper is a great way to add extra artifacts without having to do all this extra alpha texturing or texturing with alphas. So a nice little trick there is to kind of use that. Very helpful. And then that clarity as well. And then I might want to consider adding in a color filter. Just know that the color filter will not apply to the shadows. The shadows will remain a blackish color because the shadows were made with the top layer. So let me show you what I mean. If I go to all the way to red, you'll kind of notice that that reddish color doesn't really show up in the shadows, and that's okay. But I think what I'll do is, because I already have some red, a dominant color on the map, red, adding it a little bit of red sky will kind of help with that. The next thing I like to do is add in a color adjustment filter, because there might be some further adjustments that I want to do. For instance, I like to bump up the contrast a little bit, because that will kind of make the lights and the darks kind of pop out more. And then whenever you do bump the contrast, what happens is it gets a little darker. So to make up for that adjustment, I'll just bring the brightness up just a little bit. And that way the contrast isn't pulling out too much of those darker colors, kind of making it too dark. So now we can kind of zoom in and take a look at it. But watch what happens when I turn the filters off. See the difference? It's a little bit cleaner. Turn the filters on, it's a little bit dirtier. So remember, knowing what kind of filters to use depends on what you're making, right? Again, I use that red color filter because there's a dominant red color. I used the old leather and old paper for the grime, and I used clarity to get things to pop out. Let me just turn each one off. Color adjustment, I turn that one off. I turn off red sky. You can see the difference with red sky off. Old paper, that clean color, and then clarity when I turn that off. So you can see what filters do. Filters play a large role. They're going to do what filters for me is they do a lot of work for you, because otherwise you'd have to do all these texturing and all these effects and all this stuff to kind of get what you want. Allow filters to do the work for you, which is a real easy way. And the last little trick that I'll kind of show you is that you can make your own filters using the shape tool. So check this out. What you can do is you can take the shape tool and you can use a fill, choose whatever texture that you want. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go to Fantasy Battlemap's. Let's say that there was this eerie necrotic energy that is inside of this. Maybe there's like this undead, green undead energy that exists inside of this thing. And so what I can do is I can just take that shape here, have the fill go all the way up to layer +5, and then I'm going to change the hue to like maybe this greenish color. I want to create this sense of like necrotic energy, and then I'm going to change the blend mode. So I can go in and I can change it to darken, and change it to, listen, I can change it to lighten. Well, I kind of like that. That's not too bad. I can change the scale up if I want to. I can also rotate it so it's not all going the same way. So if I want, I can have some rotation like this. I can change the blend modes. I can change the texture. You know, all these things that maybe I want to blur it a little bit. I can do that. And then I can bring the opacity down. So all these kind of things that you can do to kind of create different effects. Maybe I don't want to use that. Maybe I want to use a different one. Maybe I want to add some like hellish like cracks that are on the ground, right? So I can go in and I can just, let's see here. Let me go back to here, change, let's see here. I don't want to change it to lighten. I want to change it back to normal. There we go. And so if I want, I can create these kind of like green cracks that are on the ground. I can change the blend mode so they kind of fit in. So I can go with that one. I can use this one. I can use like an overlay here. I can do a soft light. I can go with difference, luminosity. So all these kind of things that you can kind of do. Maybe I want to, let's see here. Maybe I want to have it, make it look like it's flooded. Maybe it's flooded with water. So how do I show that it's flooded with water? I can just use this. So I can go in, change that hue, make sure that I get that color that I want, and then I can change that blend mode. In fact, this water has waves in it. I don't want that. Let's go with a water that doesn't have waves. There we go, like that. And you can just bring the opacity down, make it look like it's filled with water, or you can change that blend mode again. So lots of cool things that you can kind of do. You can make your own filters. My suggestion is just to play around with it and to see what you can kind of come up with. That's what I've kind of done in the past. So I can take this darken blend mode. That looks good. If I probably bring the opacity down a little bit, I could make it look like it's a darkened room filled with water. Lots of different options that you can kind of come up with. Be creative and see what works best for you, okay? All right. Well, I think that is it for this stream. If you notice on our Discord, we did release the stream schedule for next month. I have the first week of the month off. I'm celebrating my mom's cancer-free diagnosis, so I'm excited about that. So cool on that. So I won't be here for the first week. There will be some pre-recorded shorts that will be added that week, so that way there'll still be content on there. Yeah, it was a long stream, wasn't it? So I think the next stream is a windmill. It's a battle map architectural one, windmill on Friday. I'm looking forward to that. And then I won't see you at all next week. So thank you, everyone. You've all been great. Really appreciate you all of being here. And I'm really glad that we got to make these. And for sure, we'll probably do more masterclasses with this style, whether it's a battle map or a battle background by itself. I kind of think both work just fine. It's really up to you guys what you like, okay? All right, please stay safe and healthy. Merry map making, and I will see you all on Friday, okay? Please stay safe.